This is the story of two girls who are passionate about climbing. One day, while having fun, they climb a 20,000-foot tall tower, but a sudden accident leaves them stranded at the top. With no one around to help them in this desolate location, how do these two girls survive, without food or water, on a tiny platform 20,000 feet above the ground? We will find out in today's story. The story begins by introducing Becky, her husband Dan, and their friend Shiloh. The trio was climbing a large mountain, and since climbing was not a new adventure for them, all three were quite excited. While climbing up, Dan spots a small cave in the rock. As he reaches out to put his hand in for a firmer grip, a bird distracts him, and he loses his balance, left dangling by the rope. Seeing this, Shiloh and Becky panic and try to save him, but suddenly the rope snaps, and Dan falls to his death right before their eyes. After the accident, Becky goes into shock. The scene then cuts to a year later, where Becky is still unable to move past the trauma. She is struggling with loneliness and pain, and alcohol has become a part of her life. Seeing his daughter's condition, her dad, James, is worried and advises her to move on in life. However, Becky is so disillusioned with her life that she is unwilling to listen or understand anything. That very night, she decides to take her own life. Just then, her friend Shiloh calls. It turns out Becky's father had actually sent Shiloh to talk to her and help her. To help Becky forget her old memories, Shiloh challenges her to climb a 20,000-foot tall old tower. Initially, Becky refuses, but Shiloh explains that sometimes we need an excuse to move on in life, and perhaps this is that chance. Finally, Becky agrees. The next day, the two set off for that dangerous journey. During the journey, Becky sees old photos of Shiloh on her phone. In one picture, she notices a boy's hand on Shiloh's shoulder. When asked, Shiloh dismisses him as just a friend. Just then, Becky's dad calls, but she doesn't answer. On the way, they stop at a hotel, where Becky discovers that Shiloh is a YouTuber who makes climbing vlogs. She then asks a waiter about the tower's location, and the waiter points out that the tower is visible right ahead, about 2 miles away. That night, both of them stay at the hotel. Becky has a dream that she is spending private time with Dan. She then wakes up. The next morning, they restart their journey. Shiloh begins her vlogging, and during this time, their distraction almost leads to a major accident. After this, they finally reach the desolate area where the tower was visible. But first, they find a gate locked with a padlock, which also had a warning sign. Since the gate is closed, they have to leave their car there and walk ahead. This was a desolate desert area where they see a dead animal being eaten by vultures on the path. Shiloh takes a photo and uploads it to Instagram, which Becky dislikes, as she feels Shiloh is not taking the climb seriously. When they reach the tower, Becky feels apprehensive seeing its massive height, but Shiloh encourages her to overcome her fear. Becky agrees. The tower was very old, so both of them connect to each other with a safety rope and begin their ascent. Shiloh was ahead and Becky was behind. The tower was completely rusted and the ladder was shaking violently. But Shiloh's courage did not break. She kept moving forward even as the entire tower trembled. Becky also moved ahead with determination. Suddenly, the step she was holding onto broke and fell, but she narrowly escaped. This scares Becky, but Shiloh gives her courage again. If it's breaking here, it might break further ahead. We see that many nuts and bolts are loose because the tower is very old. Having climbed almost to the height of the Eiffel Tower, they drink some water. Everything on the ground looked very small from up there. They had now completed the inner ladder, which was approximately 18,000 feet. The remaining 2,000 feet would have to be covered by the outside ladders. Given the wind speed, it would be difficult. Becky didn't want to go any further, but Shiloh had already started, so now Becky had to go as well. The condition of these ladders was even worse as they were on the outside. After climbing a little further, they had to cross a dish, which Shiloh crossed easily with a smile. She then helped Becky, who was quite scared. To make matters worse, Shiloh began shaking the ladder to scare her, which loosened the nuts and bolts even more. At the same time, a bolt fell out and dropped. Despite this, both of them somehow managed to safely climb to the top of the tower. However, as they reached the top, another bolt fell out, though they had no idea of this. Reaching the top, both are very happy, and Shiloh starts her vlog again. She uses a drone camera to get good shots for the video. To give her viewers even better content, she hands the drone remote to Becky and hangs from the tower with one hand. Becky tried to stop her from doing this, but Shiloh wouldn't listen. After taking the shot, she climbs back up and asks Becky to strike the same pose. Becky refuses, to which Shiloh says this is the best chance for her to conquer her fear. Following this, Becky holds Shiloh's hand and performs the same stunt, and Shiloh takes her selfie. After this, Becky climbs back up. Becky had brought Dan's ashes with her. Remembering Dan, she scatters his ashes right there. At this moment, both Becky and Shiloh become quite emotional, remembering him. They then decide it's time to go back. They connect their safety rope and Becky starts to go down first. But as soon as she takes the first step on the ladder, the remaining bolts come loose, and the ladder breaks and falls. Becky is left dangling by the rope. Shiloh is terrified seeing this, but somehow manages to pull her back up. Becky, having escaped death, cries out of fear. But the next moment, they both start laughing, finding it a very adventurous moment. Looking down, they realize the ladder is completely broken, and now they are stuck. How will they get down? Both are worried and check their phones, but there is no network because of the high altitude. Then, they spot an emergency box. Upon opening it, they find binoculars and a flare gun. However, their bag, which contained drinking water, is stuck on the tower's dish below. Seeing all this, Becky lashes out at Shiloh, saying they will now die of thirst right there. Shiloh calms her down and suggests that maybe the sound of the ladder falling made someone call 911, and the police will be arriving soon to help them. So they just need to wait a little while until someone arrives. Shiloh then notices that Becky's leg is injured from the fall. To stop the bleeding, Shiloh ties her shirt around the wound. Both start waiting for help. After some time, Becky asks Shiloh why she started vlogging. Shiloh says she started it for Dan, which makes Becky a little suspicious of Shiloh. 5 hours pass, but no help has reached them yet. Shiloh checks her phone and gets an idea from the photo of the dead animal she had uploaded. They type a help message on their phone, tie the phone to a rope, and start lowering it, hoping that taking the phone down will get them a signal, and their post will upload. However, their rope is only 15 feet long, so Shiloh even tries hanging down a little to take the phone further down, but their attempt fails. Then Becky gets an idea. She says that there will definitely be a signal down below, so why don't they somehow throw the phone down? Shiloh agrees, removes her shoe, carefully places the phone inside, using her socks and underwear to cushion it so it doesn't break. Then they both throw it down. The phone does go down, but even with the binoculars, they can't see if the phone landed safely or broke. Just then, Becky notices a 143 tattoo on Shiloh's leg, which Dan used to say, "I love you" to her. Becky is suspicious, but stays quiet. Suddenly, they spot a man and his dog below. Both of them yell out, but their voices don't reach the man because of the height, and he is busy on his phone. Meanwhile, Shiloh's phone has also smashed into pieces below. Becky is about to fire the flare gun to signal, but Shiloh stops her, saying that firing it during the day might not make it visible. They need to save it for when it gets dark. Then they spot a car with another man inside. Now they have one last idea. They will fire the flare gun once it gets dark and those people will see them. As darkness falls, they both fire the flare gun and the two men do see them. Shiloh notices that the two men are coming towards their car and she is very happy, thinking they will get help now. However, the two men reach their car, steal it and drive away. Seeing this, they scream loudly, but who would hear them there? Their last hope is also dashed, and their will to live starts to break. As it gets dark, the tower's signal light turns on. Both are very sleepy, but sleeping here carries the risk of falling, so they can't sleep. They start talking, and in the middle of it, Becky asks about Shiloh's tattoo. Shiloh then shamefully confesses that she had a 4-month affair with Becky's husband, and it was the biggest mistake of her life. She didn't tell Becky because she didn't want to hurt her. "I started to love him because he was different, but I soon realized that I could never love him more than I love you," Shiloh says. Hearing all this, Becky feels terrible, but there is nothing she can do. 24 hours have passed for both of them up there, and it is morning. Both are very hungry without food or water. Shiloh decides that she will somehow climb down and bring their bag up. She ties the rope to the tower and climbs down. However, after descending, the rope is too short, and Shiloh still cannot reach the bag. She has no other option, so she hangs from the rope and somehow manages to jump onto the dish. Upon reaching the dish, she first drinks water from her bag. But now she faces another challenge. How will she get back up? She somehow ties her bag to the rope and then jumps again, grabbing onto the rope herself. Becky starts pulling her up. Shiloh climbs and is just about to reach the top when the rope slips from Becky's hands. Shiloh starts to fall rapidly. Becky's heart pounds because after losing Dan, she doesn't want to lose her best friend now. But as she looks down in fear, she sees Shiloh dangling from the rope. However, Shiloh's hands are severely injured, and she can no longer climb up by herself. After a lot of struggle, Becky manages to pull Shiloh up to the top of the tower using all her strength alone. Becky drinks water, and after a while writes a help note and attaches it to the drone. Both try to send their message to the nearby hotel using the drone. They are quite happy, but after going a short distance, the drone's battery starts to run low. So, before the battery completely dies, they bring the drone back to them. This was their last chance to be rescued, but it also failed. Becky starts crying, wondering what will happen to them, thinking they will die there. But Shiloh comforts her, saying that nothing like that will happen, and they will definitely get out of there. Later, it is night, and Becky has a horrible nightmare in which she sees Shiloh dying on the same tower and vultures eating her body. When she wakes up in fear, she realizes it was just a bad dream. The next morning, Becky gets an idea. She can charge the drone using the light on top of the tower. Although Shiloh was a good climber, she couldn't climb because of her hand injuries. After much courage, Becky climbs the tower's pole, opens the light, and as soon as she plugs the drone charger in, the plug is quite loose. Therefore, Becky has to hold the charger while hanging from the pole until the battery is fully charged. Holding the pole for a long time causes Becky's hands to slowly go numb, and the bigger problem is that a vulture keeps coming and attacking her. She somehow manages to hold herself, but her bag falls. She holds herself up somehow, and after a while, the drone's battery is fully charged, and she climbs down. She then tries to fly the drone to the hotel. The drone is fully charged, and a hope rises in them that they will get help now. But just as the drone is about to reach the hotel, it collides with a truck, and now, because the drone is broken, they cannot see anything through its camera. Both are utterly devastated, as their last option is also gone. Later, it's evening, and a storm is visible right in front of them, which will soon hit them. Becky is very sleepy, but Shiloh tells her not to sleep because as soon as she falls asleep, the vultures will attack her due to the wound on her leg. Becky then asks Shiloh for her other shoe so she can throw her phone down this time, but Shiloh says she can't have her shoe because it fell down on the dish. Now the story delivers a big shock. We find out that when Becky was pulling Shiloh up from the dish, Shiloh had slipped and fallen onto the dish, where she died. Since then, Becky has been hallucinating. She only brought the bag up and had been imagining Shiloh's presence. Becky had been surviving alone all this time. Becky cries a lot because the only friend she had in her life is no more. That night, Becky records a video message for her dad, telling him that she wants to come home and live her life, but now she can't. Her dad was always right for her, and she loves him very much. On the other side, her father, James, was also very worried about where his daughter had gone. The next day, while Becky is sleeping, a vulture comes and starts eating the flesh from her wound. But she is very hungry, so she bravely manages to catch the vulture, kills it, and starts eating it, because the one who fights will live. After eating, she gains some strength, and very cleverly she climbs down the rope onto the dish where Shiloh's dead body is lying. She then texts her dad a message that she is trapped on this tower. Then she puts her phone in Shiloh's shoe. But to prevent the phone from breaking before the message is sent, she reluctantly puts the phone, along with the shoe, into Shiloh's dead body, and then throws the body down. Then we see the night time, where Becky's dad, upon receiving the message, had called the police and sent them to that location. As they reach the tower, they see the police covering a dead body. Seeing this, he thinks it's his daughter's dead body. Just then, Becky calls out to her dad and comes towards him, having been rescued by the police. She hugs her dad and cries, saying that he was always right for her. Her dad is also very happy to see his daughter alive and starts taking her home.